Welcome. You're listening to the I'm Wired to Inspire podcast, creatively engineered by Nicole, the inspiration specialist. I'm Wired to Inspire is a powerfully packed 5-minute podcast filled with inspiration and encouragement to get you through your day. It's designed to inspire you to live your authentic purpose. Now stay tuned for your host, Nicole, the inspiration specialist, on today's episode of I'm Wired to Inspire.
Hey everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today on my podcast. Today is the 5th and final day of the healing experience for the month of May, where we are talking about the topic of mistrust. If you are just joining me, I want you to make sure you hit the link below this episode, and you can get caught up on all of the topics that we've done thus far this year, and you can also get caught up on everything that we've done this week. Just to give you a quick recap, we started off on Monday, and the theme of this week was based on Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 through 6. And that is talking about how we are to trust in the Lord and lean not on our own understanding, and in all our ways acknowledge him, and he will direct our paths. That is what the premise of this week was about, because we are talking about mistrust. We are unpacking feeling like you have gotten yourself in a situation, or you have been the victim of someone doing something, and now trust is in question for you. Now, this is the 5th and final day, and typically what we do on this day, we break down the entire week, but we also have a question, and believe it or not, it is the same question of the last day of every healing experience. So over the course of this year, you will hear this one question I ask after every topic, a total of 12 times. You will hear the same question because we are about solutions. You know, yes, we are beginning the conversation and we're starting to talk about it, but we have to change the narrative. Also, speaking of that, I say that the podcast start the conversation, but the workbook changes the narrative. So if you want to go a step further and you want to grab the workbook, you can hit the link again below this episode, and you can get your copy of the Healing Experience digital workbook. And with that, I give you like some freebies and some other things in addition to it. So you won't just get the workbook, you'll get other things with it as well. But yes, that actually helps change the narrative, because you begin to do the work. You begin to break things down. You begin to question and ponder things and get to the bottom of it. And you know, one of the cool things about this that I never really talk about is that there are many times also, not just, in the healing process, do you say, okay, well, this has hurt me and I have to change this and I have to change that. But you know what? There are things that people discover even after hearing some of these. Some things they thought bothered them from before, they don't bother them anymore. You know, I think sometimes we're on autopilot and you don't realize that there are things that you're actually healed from, and you're still just kind of still in that same storyline, not realizing like, yo, you've graduated from that. It's time for you to go on to something else. And you're literally not even thinking about it that way, because you feel like, oh, well, I have to do this and that, and I'm still, whatever from this situation, not even realizing that when you begin to unpack and peel back those layers, you realize that you have overcome some things and you just have not come into the full knowledge of that. So this is a twofold experience. It's not just, oh, everything is this so bad and oh my God. No, I mean, you're going to get good things from it too. And ultimately, it's a great thing. It's about being healed. I'm a proponent of making sure you check on your mental health. I understand. I love Jesus. I love God, but he also gives us wisdom. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit gives us great wisdom. I believe that he gives the gift to doctors and people who can help us with our health and our bodies and our minds. I also believe that he blesses counselors and people who are therapists and things that go beyond some of the spiritual things that seem to escape us. So I'm a proponent of figuring out what you need to do with God first, with God's leadership, and really making sure your mental health is on point, because we live in a world right now where, just the way social media is moving, just how life in general is moving so quickly, we are very careless about how we treat people and the emotions that we exude. And sometimes we don't emote because we don't want to feel persecuted for quote unquote being in our feelings, which brings me to my final thing I would like to say before I jump in. I say this every month, and I say this with every topic, and I will not stop saying it, because you need to know that this is the place to be in your feelings. Why? Because I know for me personally, God is the head of my life and everything that I do. Okay. And he created feelings. So I know if nobody else understands my feelings, I know that God does. So I want to encourage you. And, I tell y'all the joke all the time, catch flights, not feelings. Yes. Perfect, hilarious joke. But on a serious note, there's some people who have literally made that their lifestyle, and they're numb. They might as well be mummies, just walking mummies, because nothing can hurt them. I had somebody recently tell me nobody can hurt me, and it was heartbreaking, because they only said that because they've been hurt so much, and they literally cut themselves off when they feel things going right, when they feel things going good, and it's causing them to feel like, if I open up to this person, I could feel myself getting hurt. They'll literally cut off the relationship and walk away. They'll literally shut everything down. So that's why I want to tell you, please, if you can already see where this is going, and you're in a place where you can't really get in your feelings, well, pause it. And then when you get by yourself, if you want to, or if you get with a group of girlfriends or some of your partners or your guy friends or whomever, and everybody trying to work on being better in this area of your lives, well, then pull it out then. Make sure you also get like a journal or a notebook or something. And if you don't have that at your disposal, then you can use your notebook on your phone, which is my favorite. I'm sorry, your notepad. I absolutely love that thing. It's like my favorite thing ever. I put so much dope stuff in there, logging creative ideas, and then just stuff just so that I won't forget. You know what I mean? And I think that'll also help you too, because when we write things, that also can be very cathartic, and it can help you to get past some of the issues that you have, and even walking some things out and working some things out. And it could just be a better way for you to tread that process. So with that being said, let's go back to Monday, y'all. The first day, we asked the question, what belief was shattered? And we broke down the definition of trust, right? And trust, and I'm going to just cut to the chase, is belief. Okay, so that's why I said what belief was shattered. So basically, we're talking about what could have potentially happened in your life. What was the standard that was set for you in some type of way that was destroyed, or it was obliterated, or something happened to prove the opposite of what you were believing. That is essential in really getting to the root of your issue. Because, we can talk about things and we can kind of do things on a surface level, but you really want to start trying to get to the core of the matter. You don't want to continue to let your life move forward, but you're really stagnant. It's like you're making movement, but there's no productivity. I did that for so long. In one season of my life, I was the queen of that. And you could easily pass off being busy as being productive. You can pass off movement as productivity. And a lot of this can derive from trust issues. A lot of it can start from having some type of experience that has shaped your narrative when it comes to trust. And a lot of times trust is just, again, I talked about this all week, all this first cousin, second cousin, siblings. It just brings all this other foolery along with it. And what ends up happening is it stops you and it stunts your growth. That's why, y'all, we have to get to the bottom of the mistrust the mistrust issues and problems that you're having, or that you want to just try to make sure you don't have anymore. Because sometimes it's really quiet. It's not until I really started unpacking. It wasn't at the surface, y'all. That's why I was saying, we got to gut it out and get to the core of the matter, because at the end of the day, y'all, you know what I'm saying? You're the one that's responsible for your mental wellness and your mental health. And, this whole podcast is about your spiritual well-being and making sure that you are connected to God. And then as you are moving, you're able to connect with the practical, and you're able to do your faith and your works, and you're able to pray, but also know you got to get up, get out, and get something. You got to do something with yourself. So this is what this is all about. But a lot of times, y'all, we don't even realize it. But when somebody breaks our trust and we're like, I don't want to do that anymore, the enemy just loves that, because he'll post up in a place where you're supposed to be doing something. But because somebody broke your trust right there, you walk away from it. It's just like if you're in a bad relationship and that person the trust is just out the door. And the Lord might be like, no, but look, you're called to be married. You're called to be in a relationship. It's just not that one. But you are so bruised and damaged by how the trust factor was just completely, jacked up. You don't even want to be in a relationship anymore. And the Lord is like, yo, this is why some other things are stagnant, because I built you for partnership. I want you to do this in this way. Sure, you're doing great things by yourself, but I need you to get over this trust issue because you're blocking the mate that I have for you. You have to be able to get through it. Now, that's one example. Another example could easily be, you may have gone to school and you may have trusted that, your teachers and the people who were supposed to pour into you. I hear so many times people say teachers talk to them bad, or, just somebody might have made a comment. They didn't even really mean any harm. And, because I know for me, the teachers I know were exceptional. They were great. But I know sometimes that there's those bad apples, and there are people I listen to now as adults that say, man, my teacher did this to me. And they're like 55 years old. I'm like, what teacher? Man, I was in the 10th grade and they're still like super angry. It's like, but you had probably at least 60 other teachers over the course of your life, bare minimum. You know what I'm saying? That's what? If you have 8 classes a year and you have 8 different teachers and you're in school for a year. So what is that? 8 times 4, you got 36 teachers just in high school. If you have 8 classes a day. Let's not even talk about all the other classes you had throughout the rest of your life and all the other teachers, but that one teacher stunted that growth. That one teacher caused that person not to trust the authority figure, and it caused them not to want to go and get educated as an adult, further educated for the thing that they wanted to do. They kept replaying what this person said to them, and they ended up in a field similar to what they wanted to do, but they're miserable because they hate it. It's not what they actually want to do, and they're in their 50s. So that's why I say to you, mistrust, if it is unaddressed, it can be detrimental to your life, and it could completely change the shape and the course of your life. That's why we want to get off of the whole thing of blaming other people, and they did this to me, and they did that to me. And I'm quite sure they did. They did it to me too. But guess what? The world is going to keep on spinning. So you have to find your way in it, and you have to figure out how you're going to continue to add value to your life and to the lives of others. And you got to figure out a way to forgive them. When I talk about forgiveness on this podcast, it's not because I'm like, oh, they just completely broke my heart and took everything from me and I totally forgive them. Nope. Does not happen like that for me. It might happen like that for somebody else. I am trying to create a closeness with God at this point in the game where it causes me to get so close to him that as people cause me offenses, I am more forgiving I do it quickly as opposed to dragging it out. But even that doesn't work all the time. It still is a process, but you still have to do it. So some people, it might take minutes, it might take years, it might take weeks. Some people, it's taken decades to forgive other people. But I can tell you one thing, there's a freedom in that. And when you are dealing with mistrust, one of the keys to seeing your miracle and being free from it is forgiving. And like I said, I'm not finna go and tell y'all, oh yeah, girl, it's so easy. Ooh, nope. But the Bible does say that when you forgive others, God will also forgive you. So I just want you to, keep in mind that when you think about the things that have hurt you in the past, and when you think about how this journey may have been shifted or turned around for you, think about that belief that was shattered. And once you answer that question, you simply say, if me harping on this is going to get me to something good and positive, and if I work on this is going to take me to the next level, well, then great. But if you realize what has the shattered belief has been somewhat of an Achilles heel, and you really can't get past it, then that is why we want to bring it to light and say, okay, God, look, what do you want me to do with this? Because this is holding me up. Have I learned everything you wanted me to learn from this? Have I taken care of all of the relationships connected to this? Are you ready to take me to somewhere else, and this is no longer going to haunt me or follow me? Then boom, we're going on to the next thing. That's what these questions are about. Okay, so all designed for solutions, all designed for you to be a better whole human being. And again, I talk about this frequently as well. Impact. You cannot have an impact on a person if you don't allow God to impact you first. You have to be able to allow that process to take place in your life. So that brings us to day 2, which is who lied to you. Now, again, I'm not going to stay on this long at all. I just want you to know that once you can identify the person, or if there's a person, because it may not be a person, because I'm saying who, but in the case of those who you can put a face to the lie, you can put a face to, okay, this is a person who I thought I could trust and now I can't. I want you to pay attention to the enemy. Now, I'm going to say something that's pretty deep and you're going to have to marinate on it, but this is Holy Spirit and I know somebody needs to hear it. Do you know that the enemy can make you have a situation with somebody that you mistrust, and even people that look like them, even people that are similar to them, even people that remind you of them, that God could be sending to you to bless you? The enemy will make you subconsciously think about what that person who reminds you of them did to you, and you can completely walk away, destroy, cut off, skip over, ignore that entire relationship just because you don't trust them, and it's a stain in your spirit. It's a stain. It's a spot, and it's a blemish in your spirit. So I speak to that right now for the person listening, and it did something to them. Whoever got the chill just now, whoever said, oh my God, I never thought about that. For you, that person right there, that is for you to say and bring to the Lord. Okay, Lord, I felt that on a spiritual level. You need to show me what we need to fix this, because I didn't even pay attention to that happening. Because, and I notice it happens a lot with people with professions. They say, oh, I'm not talking to somebody who do that anymore, because he did that. Oh, no, she was like that. I'm going to give y'all an example, something that I thought was really, really cool. If you're familiar with, one of my favorite mentors, and one of my favorite mentors from afar is Devon Franklin. And when you listen to his story about his wife, he has some rules when courting and dating or whatever. And one of his rules was he was not going to talk to an actress. He was like, I'm not here for it. I don't want it. It's too much drama. I'm in the business. I don't need her to do the same thing I do. We good. Right. Well, of course, he married the beautiful Megan Good. And of course, we all know Megan because she is an actress. Right. So, you can find like tons of information on this. You can buy all their books. It's in all of these books and videos, YouTube and all this stuff. He talks about it. But he had to go with what God told him to do. And even though he may have had bad experiences with actresses before, he had to learn how to regain trust in God, to believe him, to say, okay, Lord, if this is the woman you're telling me is mine, this is not what I wanted, but this is what I know you want for me. And since then, he's been blissfully happy. So that's why I wanted to tell you, that's just a little quick example. There are tons more of examples, but that's one that was off the top of my head that I figure you can relate to easily. It's not necessarily with just a person too, or a profession, but it could be with an activity. It could be one of you may have tried to be a swimmer or a dancer or do something back in the day, and there was a trust broken. You just may have felt like the teacher didn't do you right, or the instructor, or you just didn't get it. It could just be so many little things where you say, man, I don't trust that. I'm not swimming in the deep water. I don't trust that. Well, I had a swimming instructor when I was 5 and they just let me go and I thought I was going to drown. Oh no. And you never know. You might have been called to be a world-class swimmer, and the enemy has you stuck on that thing. You know what I'm saying? So I want you guys to remember that when you think about the who, get past the who. Don't get stuck on that person. Don't start spending hours and hours and regurgitating everything that happened and talking about that person and people. Shut that down, because that's not going to do anything but slow down the process of what God is trying to take you to. You're trying to get to the next level. The next level does not involve that stuff. I can tell you that right now. It will not involve the things that held you up before. God wants to heal you of mistrust, and he's breaking it down on every level, not just they cheated on me, or they lied about that job or promotion. No, it's way deeper than that. He's trying to really gut this thing out. That's why this whole thing I just broke down about people, you confusing that mistrust with that one person with people that's coming along to bless you. That we trying to go deep like that because we want you to get past that. You know what I'm saying? So the next question, which was Wednesday, we said, what did you believe? So basically, what was the thing that you believed in? And then you found out, okay, this is not what I thought it was. And that could be that thing. That can be that idea. It could be, some people get married and they're devastated because they find out they fighting or fussing with their husbands a lot. And they say, I never saw my mom and dad fuss. And then they find out after, well, they used to just go in the room and do it, and they never did it in front of the kids. So there are a lot of times people get into situations based on what they saw because they only saw a piece of it. They never saw the entire situation. And then they have trust issues once they get in, like, oh my God, I can't even trust myself to make good decisions. But when in actuality, it was only just, you only saw a piece of the story, a piece of the puzzle. So for some of you, God is just going to rebuild your trust in some areas because it's unnecessary for you to feel mistrusting now. It really is. It's just a simple attack of the enemy. And it's causing you to stretch out a season, stretch out animosity that is completely unnecessary at this point in your life. Because now you're upgrading. Now you're advancing. Now you're going to the place that God has called you to go to. So with that leads us to yesterday, which is, are you addicted to having trust issues? Now, that was one. I know it's kind of touchy for some people. Some people were kind of in their feelings about it, but it's the truth. And the truth shall set you free. That is Bible. Okay. So some people are just used to feeling victim-like, so to speak. They like being a victim. They like having trust issues. They like having to repeatedly tell their story and, oh, woe is me. And, oh my God, they play me and everybody plays me. Everybody hurts me. What is it? You're the common denominator. So with that being said, you have to go to God, prostrate on your knees, praying and asking him a few things. Take the scales off my eyes. Number 2, how am I attracting this to myself? What am I doing wrong with this thing? Number 3, how can you get the glory from this situation? Number 4, what do I do next? And number 5, once I move on to this next phase and I get past this part and I get over myself and I no longer feel like the victim, I'm no longer placing blame. It is what it is and I'm ready to move on. How can I package that up the way you want me to and help somebody else with it? Do you want me to go speak to people? Do you want me to mentor people? Do you want me to tell my testimony? These are things I want you to ponder because the enemy does not want you to embrace this journey. He wants you to be unhealed. He wants you to be unfocused, non-productive. He does not want you to do anything that's going to add value to the kingdom of God or to your life or to the lives of others. This is absolutely his agenda, to steal, kill, and destroy. He does not have any desire to see you be your best. He does not want you to flourish. He wants you to be a person who is a proponent of sharing how you have trust issues. He wants you to be the girl. Every time you and your friends go out, you take your glass of wine and, oh, girl, the man this and he that. He wants you to be the guy that's just like, man, women, man, it ain't no good women. He wants you to be the person, man, I can't never catch a break. Man, he wants you to be all of that. He wants you to be in a drunken stupor. He wants you to be depressed. He wants you to mealy mouth. He wants you to just do foolish things. He wants you to ignore the issues. Y'all, this is all a setup. I know this is making sense because when I started breaking this down in my own life, it made perfect sense. And I'm not going to lie, I had to kind of go through a quick period of really and truly, I had to ask God for forgiveness. Because y'all, you do know when a person causes you an offense, at a certain point, if you keep dragging that they caused you an offense, the table is going to turn on you. And then God is going to be looking at you like, okay, look, you were the one offended, but now you're being offensive because you constantly dragging for the person. Yes, they did you wrong. Yes, they didn't do you right. You are completely correct and well within your rights for feeling that way. But when you continue to show the behavior that they showed you, now you're just as guilty as them. That's why we busting up mistrust. We trying to get to the things that people don't talk about, that are unseen and unheard. This is why we want to expose that enemy for what he is. Okay, so that takes us to today, our final question. And it's one that I think that, like I said, we're about solving things and really getting to the bottom of things. And again, we're just starting the conversation here. This is just a few minutes a day to really get the ball rolling and to give you perspective. That is what this is about for you today. So the final question is to ask yourself this: how can you move forward? Y'all, we are all about onward and upward and forward movement. Y'all, listen, we don't have time. Like, none of us, and I'm sorry, I'm going to speak for all of us. I have to. None of us have time to be mediocre. And you may disagree with me because I don't have the right to speak for you, so forgive me. But I'm a hopeful individual. I'm a positive individual. So I just speak that as a blessing over your life. You don't have time to be mediocre, but you have nothing but time to operate in excellence. So, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to force that on you, but I just think so highly of you. I don't have to know you to think highly of you. That doesn't have to be a phony statement. Because even if I don't know you, God knows you. And even in his word, he says that you are royalty and you are a king's kid. And if I have to see you as a brother and sister in Christ, then I feel the same way. I don't have to know you for that. It's just like when people say you have to love everybody. But liking people becomes intimate. That's when you get to learn about a person, where you decide if you like somebody or not. But when it comes to this part right here, this part is different. This is the part that shapes who you are. And this is what really separates the men from the boys. This is what separates the healing from the hurt. This is what separates the mediocrity from the excellence. So right now you have the opportunity today. You have the opportunity to decide, God, I'm going to bring all of these trust issues to the table in every area of my life, my relationship life, my family, my career, with myself, me not even trusting myself with decisions. And I'm going to bring this back to you today, and I'm going to hold on to Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5-6. I'm going to trust in you first. Okay. And I'm going to lean not on my understanding. And everything that I do from this point on, I'm going to acknowledge you first, just so that I could at least try to prevent the issues of mistrust happening to me. And then once I do that, I'm going to trust that you are going to direct my paths. You're going to make them straight, and you're going to get me to exactly where it is you want me to be. There won't be anything holding me back. There won't be anything keeping me from living my best life. There won't be anything keeping me from serving you first. There won't be anything from making sure that I put everything into you first. And then when you put the onus back on me and you show me about me, it's not to make it all about me. No, but I know that when I go to you, you're going to show me the parts of myself that need to be fixed, that need to be edited, things that need to be enhanced, because you want me to be my best self. You want me to have the luxury of giving you my trust, giving you my whole heart, because you're going to make me into the person that you call me to be. And it's not only going to be to my personal benefit, but most importantly, it's going to be to your benefit, Father. That is the mindset we want, guys. We want to be healed. We want to walk this thing out. And we want to do this thing in such a way that it is pleasing to God. You begin to be a servant for God, and you have a passion for him, and you don't want to cut corners anymore. You don't want to have a form of godliness but deny the power. You want to really operate as a person who can say, I have had trust issues before. I have done things where people have broken trust, but I'm healed and I'm ready to trust again. And even if my mistrust leaks its ugly head again, rears its ugly head again, I'm going to still go back to the Father, and I'm going to keep going back, giving him my whole heart, because I know that I will eventually get exactly what he has for me. I will land exactly where he wants me to be, and I will do exactly what he's called me to do. So I hope you guys enjoyed this week's topic of the healing experience, the topic of mistrust. Make sure you go back and you hit the link beneath this episode and check out all of the other topics that we have upcoming. Next month is going to be really good, and I'm sure that many of you can identify with it, but I want you to hit the link below and you can check it out yourself and see what it is, and get caught up on January through April if you haven't, and that is Process, Heartbreak, Childhood in the Past, and now Mistrust. Get caught up on everything. Grab that workbook if you want it. But God bless you. May he keep you. And remember, I'm wired to inspire. I hope you are too.
Thanks for listening to I'm Wired to Inspire podcast at I'mWiredToInspire.com. If you enjoyed the show, spread the word and be sure to hit the 5-star rating on iTunes. For more information on this podcast and inspirational products and services, log on to the inspirationspecialist.life or I'mWiredToInspire.com. And remember to live your authentic purpose. Thanks again, and see you next time.